Your family hears millionaire and sees fantasy. You hear it and see freedom, power, and escape. But neither reaction proves anything. There is a missing mechanism between ambition and wealth that most dreamers never build. Without it, your family's insult may slowly become an accurate prediction. Before you reject their judgment, you need to know whether they are attacking your future or correctly reading your present. Two men can speak about becoming wealthy. The first has little money, no respected name, and no one opening doors for him. But beneath the ambition, he is building something real, a valuable skill, a defined market, an offer, a way to reach buyers, a record of completed work, a mechanism capable of producing evidence. The second man watches business videos, buys courses, announces goals, and imagines the day everyone regrets doubting him. But beneath the identity, there is nothing. No offer, no customer, no completed work, no numerical feedback. From the outside, both men look like dreamers. Only one is building power. If you cannot tell which man you are, you can lose 10 years. You can spend a decade blaming your family for not understanding you while quietly proving every accusation they made. You can become a man who knows the language of entrepreneurship, but has never persuaded one stranger to pay him. A man who speaks about ownership but owns no productive asset. A man who says he wants freedom but cannot govern his evenings. That is the real danger. Their doubt becomes the enemy you fight while your weak execution remains untouched. At 19, Michael Dell was expected to pursue medicine. His family understood that path. It had visible rules, respectable milestones, and a stable identity. Instead, Dell began building and selling customized computers from his university room. To his parents, the risk was obvious. The future was not. Dell did not answer them with a speech about believing in himself. He answered with customers. Personal computers were commonly sold through third parties and retail channels. That added cost and created distance between manufacturer and buyer. Dell sold directly. Customers could specify what they wanted. Computers could be built around actual demand. He began PCs Limited in 1984 with about $1,000. The dream sounded unconventional. The mechanism was concrete. Machiavelli would not ask whether your ambition sounded inspiring. He would ask whether it could survive contact with resistance. Does it depend on forces you control? Can it adapt when conditions change? Does it produce value another person will recognize? He wrote, "The wish to acquire is in truth very natural and common." But he also warned that when men lack the ability to acquire, yet attempt it by any means, there is folly and blame. The desire to become wealthy is not the problem. The absence of a credible means is the problem. Your family may confuse unfamiliarity with impossibility. They may judge your future through the limits of their own experience. But they may also know nothing about your market and still understand your pattern. They remember the projects you announced, the equipment you bought, the routines you abandoned, the courses you never applied, the 6-week obsession that disappeared when recognition did not arrive. They may not understand software, consulting, content, or unconventional ownership, but they understand whether you finish what you begin. Family resistance usually contains 2 signals. The first is limitation. People often reject what exceeds their experience. The second is pattern recognition. They may be correctly identifying poor preparation, unstable discipline, weak financial control, or excitement without execution. A weak man rejects both because criticism threatens his identity. A strategic man separates them. He asks what is actually being criticized: the market, the business model, his competence, his consistency, the financial risk, or merely the size of his ambition. A strategic man does not need his family to be wrong. He needs reality to become clear. If this distinction is forcing you to examine your ambition more honestly, like this video, subscribe to Depths of Psyche and write one sentence in the comments. What evidence are you building right now? Do not write the final dream. Write the proof you can produce. Because becoming a millionaire is not a plan. It is an economic destination without an economic vehicle. Remove the words millionaire, freedom, success, and entrepreneur. Now answer one question. What valuable result can you produce, for whom, and why would they pay you instead of someone else? A market does not pay because you are unsupported. It does not pay because you suffered. It pays when an exchange improves someone's position. You save time, increase revenue, reduce cost, lower risk, remove confusion, create convenience, solve a painful obstacle, deliver entertainment people value enough to return for. Dreamers begin with income. Builders begin with value. The dreamer says, I want to build a 7-figure agency. The builder says, I help this type of company acquire this specific customer through this specific capability. The dreamer says, I want to become a successful creator. The builder says, I create this form of content for this defined audience, hold attention, and convert that attention into an asset I control. A serious ambition contains a buyer, a problem, a result, a reason to choose you, and a means of delivery. Without those elements, your goal is not yet a strategy. It is a desired identity. Stop asking whether your dream is large enough. Ask whether the problem is valuable enough. But value alone is not power. A man can identify a profitable problem and remain economically useless if he lacks the capability to solve it. This is where ambitious men become trapped. They want the income of rare competence while refusing the humiliation of becoming a beginner. They study sales but avoid asking for payment. They watch editing tutorials but publish nothing. They discuss artificial intelligence but cannot build a useful workflow. The vocabulary creates an illusion of progress. Recognition feels like mastery. It is not mastery. Capability is what remains after motivation disappears. Can you perform the skill under pressure on a deadline for someone who expects a result? Your family may not understand your chosen market, but they can often see whether you spent the last year acquiring competence or collecting inspiration. This is why a millionaire identity without difficult capability is a costume. You need a capability stack. One production skill that creates the result. One communication skill that makes the result understandable. One commercial skill that turns value into exchange. One distribution skill that places the offer before the right people. One system for measuring whether any of it works. Consider Sara Blakely. She did not begin Spanx by demanding recognition as a future billionaire. She began with a product problem. She wanted an undergarment that created a smoother appearance beneath clothing without the visible feet of traditional pantyhose. She had no established authority in fashion manufacturing, no major investor, and no inherited distribution machine. What she possessed was a controlled experiment. She used about $5,000 in personal savings to develop the idea. She continued working while researching patents, contacting manufacturers, creating prototypes, and pursuing buyers. She did not make survival impossible to prove belief. She protected the downside while testing the upside. This matters because recklessness often disguises itself as courage. Quitting your income before validating demand does not automatically prove commitment. Borrowing destructive amounts of money for an untested idea does not make the idea serious. Burning every bridge may only remove your ability to continue after the first failure. Blakely contacted manufacturers, refined the product, and secured a meeting with a Neiman Marcus buyer. When explanation was not enough, she demonstrated the difference the product created. That meeting reportedly produced an initial order for several stores. The first proof was not a billion-dollar valuation. It was a professional buyer saying yes. Dell proved that customers can replace permission. Blakely proved that courage does not require destroying your survival. This is the colder definition of ambition. You are willing to face reality, but disciplined enough to remain in the game while reality answers. Now comes the test most dreamers avoid. Have you defined a market clearly enough to be rejected? The dreamer says, everyone needs this. The builder asks, who needs it urgently, can afford it, and is already searching for a solution? Specificity is dangerous because specificity allows reality to say no. If your product is for everyone, no single group can disprove your fantasy. If you define one customer, one problem, one price, and one result, the market can answer. Many men prefer vague hope to clean rejection. Vague hope allows them to remain future geniuses. A clear market may reveal that the idea is weak, the price is wrong, the problem is not urgent, or the customer does not trust them. But clean rejection is more valuable than vague hope. It gives you something to change. You do not possess a market because you can imagine people benefiting. You possess evidence of a market when defined. People change their behavior. They stop. They listen. They respond. They request more information. They try the product. They pay. They return. They refer another customer. That behavior leaves numbers, and numbers are where fantasy begins to lose its hiding place. Potential is private. Output is visible. Machiavelli wrote, "Men judge generally more by the eye than by the hand." He continued, "Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few really know what you are." In its original context, this was an observation about political appearance. It was not permission to fake success. The useful lesson is simpler. People cannot inspect your intentions, they inspect what you finish. They see the products completed, the offers sent, the calls conducted, the videos published, the customers served, the case studies documented, the revenue collected, the profit retained, and the systems built. The consumer counts information absorbed. The builder counts evidence produced. This is why compliments are not demand. Likes are not profit. Family encouragement is not validation. Family doubt is not rejection. Only the relevant market can answer the relevant question. Do buyers stop? Do they listen? Do they respond? Do they pay? Do they return? Do they refer another customer? Most dreamers claim they want feedback. What they actually want is approval. When customers reject the offer, they call the customers ignorant. When nobody responds, they blame the platform. When people say the offer is unclear, they insist the audience lacks intelligence. Every explanation protects the identity. None improves the mechanism. A builder treats the first offer as a hypothesis. Release it, observe it, measure it, revise it, repeat. Feedback does not determine your worth as a man. It determines whether the current mechanism works. But even market feedback is useless if you can avoid it forever. A dream without deadlines can survive indefinitely because it never has to face judgment. It can remain perfect in imagination because it is never forced into contact with time, cost, or consequence. This is why structure matters more than motivation. Set a weekly output target. Set a launch date. Define a fixed testing budget. Decide how many customer conversations must happen. Review the numbers every 7 days. Create a point where you must either continue, revise, or kill the idea. Motivation allows you to begin. Structure decides whether you continue, and continuation requires adaptation. Some men call themselves persistent when they are merely inflexible. They become loyal to one method because changing it feels like admitting they were wrong. But the mission and the method are not the same. The mission may be independence. The first method may be freelancing, then consulting, then a standardized service, then software, then licensing, then ownership. The objective may remain. The instrument must be allowed to change. Michael Dell did not build power merely because he understood computers. He saw a weakness in how computers were sold. His direct sales model reduced intermediary costs and allowed customization. He protected the mission while changing the method of distribution. A delusional man protects his prediction. A strategic man protects his position. That distinction matters because one failed experiment should not be allowed to destroy the entire campaign. Machiavelli wrote, "One never seeks to avoid one trouble without running into another. But prudence consists in knowing how to distinguish the character of troubles and for choice to take the lesser evil. There is no path without risk. Keeping the job has a cost. Leaving has a cost. Moving slowly has a cost. Moving quickly has a cost." The strategic question is not how to remove risk. The strategic question is how to prevent one mistake from ending your ability to learn. Define how much money you can lose. Avoid destructive debt for an untested idea. Preserve income while validating when possible. Begin with a narrow offer. Test before increasing fixed expenses. Separate revenue from profit. Preserve enough time, energy, and capital to adapt. A serious man does not prove commitment by making survival impossible. He proves commitment by remaining capable of continuing after the first failure. When the ambition survives these tests, it is no longer merely emotional. It begins to possess structure. Now the mechanism becomes clear. First, solve a valuable problem. Money does not follow suffering. It follows controlled value. The market does not know how tired you are. It does not know that your family doubted you. It does not know how badly you want freedom. It responds to outcomes. Choose a problem painful enough to matter, frequent enough to repeat, specific enough to solve, and connected to people capable of paying. Second, build scarce capability. Common effort receives common compensation. Scarcity changes negotiation. An editor who understands pacing is useful. An editor who understands pacing, audience retention, sales, analytics, and a specific industry becomes more difficult to replace. A writer is useful. A writer who can clarify complex ideas, hold attention, and produce measurable action occupies a stronger position. Skill gives you capacity. Skill combinations give you leverage. Third, package the solution. The market does not buy your potential. It buys a defined exchange. Who is it for? What problem does it solve? What is delivered? What result is expected? How long does it take? What does it cost? What proof supports it? Without clarity, the buyer must perform the work of understanding why you matter. Most will not. Fourth, distribute. Many talented men remain poor because their value is undistributed. They resent louder men. They despise marketing. They believe excellent work should speak for itself. But work does not speak. People communicate work. Systems display it. Platforms distribute it. Reputation compresses evidence into judgment. Do not wait to be discovered. Construct discovery. Use direct outreach, content, search, referrals, partnerships, demonstrations, public case studies, and sales conversations. The channel matters less than the control. Can you repeatedly place the offer before the relevant buyer? Fifth, capture and retain value. Revenue can create the appearance of strength while hiding weakness. A man sells $100,000. Then you examine the mechanism. Advertising costs, refunds, contractors, software, inventory, taxes, debt, and no retained cash. He displays revenue because revenue creates status. But the mechanism has preserved nothing. Measure price, delivery cost, acquisition cost, margin, cash flow, retention, refunds, and time required. Revenue proves that money moved. Profit suggests that value remained. Cash flow determines whether the mechanism can continue. Income can improve your conditions. Ownership changes your position. A direct relationship with customers. A product, a process, equity, intellectual property, an email list, a portfolio. Cash reserves, transferable skills. More than one source of demand. Freedom is not the absence of dependence. It is the refusal to let one dependence become absolute, then reinvest. Weak men use early money to look powerful. Strategic men use early money to become harder to remove. The first profitable month creates temptation. The car, the clothing, the apartment, the public performance of a rival. You want your family to see that you were right. But when early capital leaves the machine remains fragile. Use early gains to strengthen product quality, distribution, equipment, applied training, automation, customer service, reserves, and systems. Do not use the first evidence of power to imitate the lifestyle of power. Use it to acquire more control. Only then does scale become rational. Scaling does not repair a broken mechanism, it multiplies it. If customers leave, scale creates more departing customers. If margins are weak, scale magnifies losses. If delivery depends entirely on your energy, scale creates exhaustion. Scale only after you understand who buys, why they buy, how they find you, what result they receive, what delivery costs, what remains, and why they return. A millionaire is not a personality. It is one possible economic result of value, capability, distribution, ownership, reinvestment, timing, and fortune. And fortune matters. Your family may believe success is impossible. You may believe success is inevitable. Machiavelli would distrust both claims. He wrote, "Fortune is the arbiter of one half of our actions, but she still leaves us to direct the other half." This is not a mathematical formula. It is a rejection of two illusions. The first illusion is helplessness. Everything depends on luck, so preparation is pointless. The second illusion is total control. If I work hard enough, success is guaranteed. Both protect the ego. Helplessness removes responsibility. Total control removes uncertainty. Reality contains both agency and forces beyond your command. Markets change. Technology changes. Platforms change. Regulations change. Health changes. One introduction can accelerate a business. One crisis can expose every weak foundation. You cannot command fortune. You can reduce the number of ways fortune can remove you from the game. Build cash reserves. Control debt. Develop transferable skills. Create more than one acquisition channel. Document your systems. Strengthen customer relationships. Keep unnecessary fixed costs low. Learn to modify the offer before change becomes catastrophe. The strategic man prepares for opportunity and disaster. But even preparation is not enough if criticism still destroys your identity. The less evidence a man possesses, the more emotionally valuable the dream becomes. His present life feels small. His job feels replaceable. His family remembers old failures. His bank account does not reflect the identity he wants. So the millionaire dream begins to perform a psychological function. It tells him his current rank is temporary. It promises that one day everyone will revise their judgment. It allows him to feel powerful before he has constructed power. Now criticism becomes dangerous. If the business model is weak, he does not hear, the mechanism needs improvement. He hears, you are ordinary. If the offer fails, he does not hear, the offer was rejected. He hears, your family was right about you. So he protects the dream. He attacks critics. He searches for reassurance. He changes goals before results can be measured. He announces a larger vision to restore the feeling of importance. A builder responds differently because his identity is attached to the process. He can admit the price was wrong. The offer was weak. The skill was insufficient. The market was poorly chosen. The distribution failed. The deadline was missed. This does not destroy him. It gives him information. Classify criticism with 4 questions. Does the critic possess relevant knowledge? Is the criticism specific? Can the claim be tested? What incentive shapes the critic's judgment? Your father may know nothing about digital products. His prediction about the market may carry little weight. But if he says you abandon every project after 6 weeks, he may be describing relevant evidence. Your friend may know nothing about entrepreneurship. But if he observes that you refuse to sell because rejection humiliates you, he may have identified the real weakness. Independence is not rejecting all judgment. Independence is possessing standards for deciding which judgments deserve weight. And once you possess those standards, the first mission becomes brutally simple. Your first mission is not $1 million. It is one repeatable dollar. $1 produced by a mechanism you can explain. $1 connected to value you created. $1 from a defined buyer. $1 that did not arrive by accident. Then produce it again. The first sale proves that someone paid. The second proves that the first may not have been luck. Successful delivery proves that you can create the promised result. A satisfied customer proves that the exchange produced value. A returning customer proves that the value may be repeatable. A referral proves that trust is spreading. Profit proves that the mechanism retains something. You do not need to prove the empire. You need to prove the next stage. For the next 90 days, stop asking whether you are destined to become wealthy. Ask whether your mechanism can survive a disciplined test. Choose one valuable problem. Choose one defined buyer. Build one narrow offer. Speak to real prospects. Produce measurable output. Track responses. Improve the offer. Protect the downside. Review the evidence every week. At the end of 90 days, one of 3 things will be true. The mechanism works. The mechanism needs revision. Or the mechanism fails. All 3 outcomes are more valuable than another 90 days of untested belief. If you are the kind of man who keeps collecting ideas but avoids the market, stop mistaking information for progress. You already know that ambition without evidence is fragile, but your real problem is that your goals have never been forced through a disciplined system. If you keep protecting the fantasy, you will lose years defending an identity that has produced nothing. Inside Patreon, you get the deeper frameworks, private breakdowns, and unfiltered strategic material designed to help you turn discipline into skill, skill into proof, and proof into leverage. This is not for men who want reassurance. It is for men prepared to examine their weakness without excuses. The decision is yours. Your family may still refuse to believe, they may move the standard, they may call the first result luck. They may dismiss the second result as temporary. They may never fully understand the market, the work, or the price you paid to build it. That is no longer the central problem. The goal was never to force a confession from them. The goal was to build a position that no longer depends on their permission. Proof changes how people treat you. But more importantly, proof changes how you govern yourself. You stop asking whether you are capable. You begin asking which variable must be improved. You stop defending your identity. You start measuring the mechanism. You stop using wealth as emotional anesthesia. You start constructing wealth as an economic outcome. Your family may be wrong about your ceiling, but they may be right about your current evidence. Do not answer them with another declaration. Answer with a valuable problem, a difficult capability, a defined buyer, a tested offer, a controlled downside, and one repeatable dollar. Build that, and you are no longer a man defending a dream. You are a man testing a strategy. And once the strategy produces evidence, your ambition no longer requires belief. It has begun to acquire power. Like this video, subscribe to Depths of Psyche, and share it with the man who keeps asking for support when what he needs is proof. Then write your next measurable result in the comments. Not the empire, not the fantasy, the evidence you will produce now.